Good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all this morning? Can Very good. Bless you this morning. Can I have the slipper down? Okay. Okay. Give it to me in my hand. It's a bit low. I want it more low down. Low. I want it more low. Okay. 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 Are we ready this morning? Good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Umhlanga, Coastlands Umhlanga, and this morning it's such an honor to have you at our hotel this morning, and I pray this morning that you'll have a wonderful day, and may we together as a staff of Umhlanga take care of you this morning, but also that we have an hotel, a rule, a house rule, which of course that you will follow this morning, and I would like you to give me your undivided attention this morning. To His worship, Mayor, welcome this morning. To all our colleagues this morning, it's an honor to have each one of you all this morning at our hotel this morning. So let me start. This morning is very important that you give me your undivided attention this morning because your safety is our responsibility. Okay? Now, first thing, we have this rule. It's very important that when we have an alarm, okay, if in case of an emergency, you'll hear the first alarm. It'll like a sound of an alarm, and then don't get excited, just wait for the second one. If the second one continues, you'll get off your seats in a very orderly fashion, and you'll pass through to the passage on your right that's adjacent to the service lift, the guest lift. Try not to use the lift. There's a stairway going down that will lead you to the ground floor, and as you get to the ground floor, our marshals will direct you out to where actually you can stand till we have been sorted out. Okay, then you'll be led back into the convention center this morning. Secondly, sir, there is no smoking allowed in the auditorium this morning. However, we have designated spots where our clients are going to have a smoke. That's on the third floor, that's on the pool deck. As I said, there's a stairway going down the stairs that will lead you to the emergencies area, but this stairway that will take you up is one flight up. Try to not use during your course of your smoke. You can either use a lift or you can take a walk. This morning, we're going to say thank you this morning that, that you have come into our hotel and that you'll have a wonderful time this morning. And may God bless you this morning. Thank you.
Right, on that safety note, let us seal that safe message with a prayer. If I can request that we all rise and observe a silent prayer. Amen. Thank you. My name is Lihle Pewa. I will be your program director this morning. Without any further ado, let's then welcome on stage our Speaker of Council, or Councillor Nyawase, to welcome us. Babu Nyawase.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Program Director, DCM Pewa, Your Worship, Councillor Mkolisi Kaunda, City Manager, Sompis, with all our DCMs and our officials present here, the delegation from business. Thank you very much. We are very pleased to welcome you today to this important gathering. Excuse me. This is part of the work we do in council. The IDP and the draft budget consultative meetings is one of the most important programs in our council. We are happy that you have honored our invitation We hope that we are going to have a very productive, fruitful engagement after our CFO has made the presentation. We are aware that currently, as a municipality, we are confronted with a number of challenges. The mayor will highlight some of the challenges that they've identified. He's going also explain some of the interventions we are making as a city. A perception has been created that it looks like we don't care or we are not aware of your frustrations. We are quite aware because there have been engagement with business before. The city manager and our teams that are attending to some of your issues. But today, we are being afforded an opportunity again to engage our draft budget. We want to invite you to freely engage, make proposals, come up with suggestions so that we can get how to feel with the services that we are rendering as a city. I hope that all of you today, we are going to have a very good morning or time this morning when we engage this budget. With those few words, I do want to formally apologize on behalf of the chair of the cluster who was supposed to stand here, Councillor Tembo Ntuli, here to attend other urgent engagement this morning. I also want to apologize on my behalf that I'm going to leave soon because we received the news that in some part of the city around Umkababa, Mkomas, because of the heavy rains last night, there were families that were affected. Some of the houses were damaged in that part of the city. Because the mayor is here, I'm going to meet those families and those communities representing the mayor so that I give him the report after this exercise. With those few words, you are all welcome. Thank you very much for attending this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker, for that welcoming note. I'm now going to request Bob Mayor to kindly give us his welcome address. And I must say, Bob Mayor, I'm happy that the lighting is good on this stage. Otherwise, we're going to struggle to see you. So welcome, Bob Mayor. The stage is yours.
But it starts with the program director. So I was looking like him when I was not like this, so I'm better off now. No, thank you very much, DCM Pewa. Greetings to our honorable speaker who just welcomed us, Councillor Nyawose. The leadership of business, we can see that they are representatives of business, although the hall is not full of business for now. It's full of officials. We hope that others will join us late. We recognize the city manager and his team, the deputy city managers and the heads, and all officials present. Let me take this opportunity to acknowledge members of the media and all of us, all protocol observed. Indeed, Program Director, the engagement of today is very important to us as a city to engage one of our major stakeholder business sector so that when we approve the budget, we will have sourced your wisdom, we will have sourced your inputs to what you think is going to make this budget a budget that is favorable to the citizens of this city and the business sector as well. We had already conducted engagements with the members of the public in different corners of our city. We've been to Inanda, we've been to Umlazi, we are going back again. We've been to Chatsworth, we've been to Wentworth and Bluff. We've been to Phoenix. We have engaged with the disability sector, where they also raised their issues as a sector. And I can give you an assurance that these are not just the talk shows, but we conduct this exercise because we value your contributions. We value your inputs because as we move forward, we'll incorporate, before we approve the budget, all the suggestions that are coming from different sectors. I'm aware that there's been a lot of noise about tariffs, that this city want to hike tariffs as if it's a final budget. We are still consulting with these tariffs, and we'll give you the reasons and what informs these tariffs, why we think these tariffs will assist the city. But we'll also consider your issues looking at the economic climate. We'll consider the issues that even members of the public have been raising with us. And we always do this exercise, and we are going to definitely respond to your issues. As your mayor, I am happy that the city is recovering. I can repeat myself. There's no city in the Republic of South Africa that have experienced catastrophic events that we have experienced. Starting from 2019, heavy storms. When I arrived here in September, we had heavy storms. 2020 lockdown, which was a global phenomenon. We also experienced the civil unrest in 2021. Those who were around the city when this civil unrest took place in July 2021, they will tell you how was the city looking like. Industries were burnt, shops were burnt, roads were damaged, our infrastructure. But look at where we are today in terms of our recovery. In 2022, we experienced severe floods, which robbed us of more than 450 lives in this city, with 72 members of the public who have not been found up to this far. 2023, we received a tornadic activity which happened around June 2023. Properties were damaged, our infrastructure. 2024, in January 13, we received yet another heavy floods, which damaged roads, bridges, and houses in the same city. 2024, we experienced the illegal industrial action, which impacted negatively in how we deliver services to our people. Water shortages, electricity challenges, the economy which was affected because people were blocked in some instances. I recall that when they initiated it, they took all our vehicles, heavy vehicles, to close all the roads in the city. The city came into standstill. But due to technology, which I like, we were able to take control of our fleet. Even if you can have your key of that heavy vehicle, but we are able to stop you and take it over. So that's what assisted us to deal with the situation. And I'm happy to report that we took decisions, bold decisions. about involvement of our employees in that illegal industrial action. We took decisions, some were dismissed. Because we said we mean business. When we say we can't tolerate chaos in the city, we meant business. And we wish to repeat ourselves on the statement that and the stance that we have taken, that we are not co-governing with unions. We are governing alone. But we have stakeholders. Unions are part of the stakeholders that we need to engage with. But we are not co-governing with them. So I'm sure the message we have sent, it gives clear message to everyone that we are not going to tolerate anarchy in our city. As I proceed, it is an honor and privilege to welcome you all to this important engagement that we are engaging you on the IDP and the budget for 2024-2025. We want to indicate that we will be discussing today, our discussions will be geared towards accelerating service delivery and ensure that through our rebuilding process, we are able to create a positive investor climate to grow the economy and create jobs in our city. Ladies and gentlemen, the total proposed budget for 2024-2025 financial year is 67.3 billion rands, with an operating budget of 59.7 billion and capital budget of 7.6 billion rands. A substantial amount of this budget will go towards refurbishing and upgrading our electricity, water, sanitation, and roads infrastructure. This is critical if the municipality is to succeed in providing uninterrupted supply for these crucial services. For water and sanitation, ladies and gentlemen, this budget will allow us to continue implementing the water turnaround strategy we have adopted in April last year. We are working together with National Treasury in this strategy and National Cocta. We are pleased to report that the strategy is beginning to yield desired outcomes. For instance, there has been a steady decline in a non-revenue water, which can be attributed mainly to the increase in the meter reading, as well as an increase in the resources for maintenance, with plumbing teams deployed to repair leaks and burst pipes in 76 wards. We are intending to expand this because we're just piloting it. We can see that it's worked better to have people who are stationary in your wards to deal with water leaks. But what makes water losses to be seen as if there's no improvement is because we are still supplying water tankers with our bulk water through our filling stations, which in some we have not yet finalized the quantification of such water that is delivered to those communities through water tankers. We are also engaging in a process of changing our old pipes, replacing them, putting new pipes so that we prevent the leakage that we've been observing. We are also implementing the bulk metering, which will give us at least a sense of what quantity of water do we supply in informal settlements and to the areas where we are servicing through our ablution facilities and water facilities. In line with the turnaround strategy, the city is finalizing non-revenue water reduction initiatives that include a performance-based project for the Phoenix, Inanda, Ntuzuma, and Kwamashu areas, assisted by World Bank and Development Bank of Southern Africa, DPSA, which is now at an advanced project preparation stage. Meanwhile, other non-revenue water programs are at various stages of procurement to cover all water supply systems. These include water loss professional services contracts and leak detection contracts. This work is also bolstered by the establishment of the non-revenue water section, which forms part of the ongoing restructuring of the water and sanitation unit, which is underway. We have put this as a priority that water and electricity, they are key in running the economy of our city. So therefore, it necessitates that our intervention should be expedited. Addressing intermittent water supply affecting many areas is also our main priority within the turnaround strategy that we have developed. Currently, the municipality is putting in place framework contracts for replacement of various system components that range from standby pumps, standby generators, replacement of valves, and telemetry system. Great progress is also being made to resolve sanitation blockages by increasing resources to our teams to prevent ongoing spillage. Currently, our focus is on preventative maintenance that has seen the cities purchasing 16 new sewer jetting machines, and additional 28 of these machines will be delivered by August 2024. This has resulted in the reduction of general sewer repairs from 5,679 in December 2023 to 2,555 in March this year. We still need to do more. The delay in resolving some of the spillage is due to ongoing refurbishments at some of storm-damaged sewage treatment plants and restoration of major bulk sewer systems. In other townships, we are still conducting repairs of our sewer pipes which were damaged by 2022 floods. Some were further damaged by the recent floods. For instance, currently the municipality, working with Umgeni Tugela Water, is refurbishing 10 wastewater treatment plants or works, which handle 90% of sewage in the municipality. Last week, the Deputy President visited the Northern Wastewater Treatment Work to see the progress we are making, where we have invested 500 million rands to repair the plant. We have also allocated 17 million rand to Ohlange Pump Station to upgrade it to a level that will be able to prevent the spillage as we have been observing and contamination of our beach. We have also allocated 269 million rands to Hammersdale, Mpumalanga wastewater treatment plant. That wastewater treatment plant, we are experiencing the challenges there, that the demand was really exceeding the supply, because there is a growth of industries, but also in terms of residential units in that area, households are also growing. So these projects I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, we are not dreaming about them. Contractors are already on site. This is not a promise, because you may be tempted to say, we are making a promise because there is 29 May. No, it's not a promise. It's a commitment, because these projects are already being attended to. Ladies and gentlemen, to ensure water security in the city, the turnaround strategy requires that major medium to long-term water resources projects must be implemented. In this regard, the city has since approved and signed the agreement of Umkomazi Dam project, paving the way of its implementation with an estimated budget of 28 billion rands. The lower Umkomazi, this was upper Umkomazi that I made reference to. Then the lower Umkomazi water project is already under construction and envisaged to be completed by 2027, which will also add more value in terms of water resources and source in our city. As part of the strategy, we are also increasing the private sector involvement in delivery of water services in our municipality. The city has since issued an invitation for expression of interest to solicit interest by the private sector to participate and assist the city in delivering water and sanitation services. To date, the municipality has started several public-private partnership initiatives linked to water security, and we are now at various stages of approval through National Treasury. These PPP initiatives include the following: Durban Water Recycling Project, Northern Areas in Guamashu Wastewater Treatment Works Reuse Plants, Performance-Based non-revenue water reduction project for Phoenix, Inandantuzu, Magwamashu, and other areas. Our desalination program is also continuing, but we want to expand it because for now, it is only providing us with only 6 kiloliters of water in the city. Let me talk to Gotepen. I know Andres is more than interested in Gotepen to know what is happening there. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also take this opportunity to give an update on Gotepen. Last year, the council approved the technical adjustment framework, which is an amended approach to the implementation of cities' integrated public transport networks, and was specifically designed to achieve the following. Firstly, resolve the impasse with affected public transport operators around their participation in the new system, which is mini taxis or mini buses and some small operators of buses. The issue was around the ownership of the fleet in this program. They were demanding that they want to own this fleet 100%. And as government, we had a stance that we are not happy to give it away because this is part of public transport. So we rather collaborate and give a particular percentage to the industry. The second issue was to accelerate the implementation of the program to benefit more communities and operators in view of the delays already experienced in implementing this program. Before the council approval of this amended approach, extensive stakeholder and public consultation was conducted on the amendments in the program. We are pleased to report that a contract for the manufacturing of 50 buses to operate on the C3 corridor, Bridge City to Pantown, has been awarded to Volvo South Africa, with the manufacturing of these buses currently underway. When I announce this, don't think that the mayor is involved in issuing tenders. I'm just giving a report of the SCM process. So don't think that if you come closer to the mayor, you may get an opportunity. It is not my mandate. I don't even get involved. But when they've completed their processes, they bring reports to us. So I'm making the public aware of what we are doing. Bid committees are also currently busy finalizing the award of a contract for the manufacturing of 300 MITI buses, which will be manufactured right here in the city, thus advancing job creation and boosting the manufacturing sector in our municipality. It will be happening around the Dube Trade Port. Over and above the investment to be made by the city and operators in the procurement of these minibuses, the preferred bidding original equipment manufacturer, they call it OEM, will invest around 260 million rands in setting up a manufacturing facility here in the city, because these buses have been produced from Johannesburg. So we said our man is going out, is leaving the city. So we want to convince them that they must come and invest in our city. Hence, we'll be producing these buses here at Dube Trade Port. The city has also, because remember, when you take your money, it fly with a flight, so it creates jobs somewhere. It doesn't create jobs in your city. So hence we have taken that decision that even with other resources that we are purchasing from outside this country, both electricity and water departments, we gave them a clear line of orders that please go and negotiate with these companies, because we buy these things in bulk, we spend billions of rands. So they must come and open their factories here in our own city, so that we don't spend, the rest of South Africa takes this money outside of the country. So for us to industrialize, we need such initiatives. The city has also been awarded a package of grant funding, concessionary loans, financial incentives, and 3 free buses, all amounting to 132 million to undertake a feasibility study for the deployment of electric buses in the city as part of Core Durban. The financial support will come from the Global Environmental Facility, the GEF, DBSA, and the Department of Trade and Industry and Competition, DTIC. Should the feasibility study prove positive, the city has committed to deploying an initial 17 electric buses as part of its bus replacement program, starting in the 2025-2026 financial year. The municipality is currently hard at work packaging and negotiating a number of service contracts for the operation of Core Durban services, applying the amended approach as approved by our council. The anticipated commencement date for the service is the end of July this year. Baba Manyati and City Manager and DCM Pato, there will be no postponement now. So this date that you have given us, we are certain that you have conducted your own research if it's going to be feasible. There is no postponement. As a mayor, I've been announcing many dates. This is the last date I'm pronouncing. July, by end of July 2024. So this must happen. There's no option of giving further excuses. So we'll stick to this date. So all of you colleagues, please work on this on full-time basis. I'm cautioning you because I want to make it easy that when this time comes, we don't fight, but we are able to agree with one another on what needs to happen. Road storm disaster projects, ladies and gentlemen, it will be remiss of me not to highlight the progress we are making in repairing our road infrastructure that was damaged during the recent floods. We are pleased to report that over 80% of storm disaster projects have been completed. Last week, we conducted oversight visits to 3 major projects, which include construction of Blandel Bridge in Shallcross, which will cost us around 49 million rand, Hanslet Drive Bridge in Phoenix, and Courtmore Road Bridge in Yellowwood Park. All these 3 projects each cost us around 50 million. What we are happy about on these projects is that all these major projects, engineering projects, are designed internally. These are not outsourced design. They were designed by our engineers. Let me talk about Phoenix, a Hanslet Drive Bridge. That bridge, our teams went out to research, to conduct a research. So don't ask me, I'm not an engineer. But they are saying even when there are heavy floods, it's going to be moving like this, but it won't go away. So now don't ask me what is that in engineering. It's going to be moving like this. So when there are heavy rains, it's not going to move, but it's going to be moving so that it allows water to flow, but continue to remain where it is. So that was conducted by our own researchers in the city and our engineers. And we've been winning awards about what we design internally. So, City Manager, your team is doing very well. We commend you. Let's give them a big round of applause for that. So we want to see more of these projects where we do things internally. Even with water. Water, we are outsourcing many things there. So we need to increase doing things internally. So these projects, even the ones that are here at Chatwell Drive and other areas of the municipality which were affected by the January 13th floods, the work is being conducted. The one in La Lucia, also the work is being conducted. So in each and every corner of the city, you'll find the work that is being done. It means that we have converted ourselves to be a construction site. Other storm disaster projects that are currently underway include upgrade of stormwater systems in Umdloti, which is now 80% complete. You know, remember there were severe damages in that area. The repair of stormwater system in Ridge Road and Armstrong Avenue in Umhlanga, which I've spoken about. Ladies and gentlemen, before I take leave, I thought it's going to be important for me as your mayor to to give you the progress on what we are doing to fix the city. This one, I did not write it down, I'll just talk on it. So we are one of the big metros in the Republic of South Africa. All metropolitan cities in the world are experiencing the high levels of migrations, which are informed by the resources made available and opportunities made available in these big metros. Because people from neighboring countries, from neighboring provinces, from neighboring districts of KwaZulu-Natal, which are poor, they all come here in this city. That's why sometimes I get shocked when I see you getting surprised that we've got so much numbers in our city. As we speak, we have 16,000 people who live under the bridges and on the streets. 16,000. It is not because of our failure that we have such people. It is because of our successes that these people recognizes. Then they want to come and benefit in those resources. I want you to understand this clearly. Why people are coming here. Why people are not, when they are looking for jobs, they are not saying, I'm going to look for a job in Cape Town. Have you heard anyone saying, I'm leaving my I'm going to look for a job in Cape Town, in Eastern Cape, in Northern Cape? No. There are only 2 cities in the Republic of South Africa which are well industrialized, where people go in bigger numbers. That is Johannesburg and Durban. Conduct your own research if you want to dispute my stats. It's Johannesburg and Durban. Nombani uthi uyofuna umsebenzi, uyofuna itoho nethuba lomnotho, uya kula madolobha amabili. Then therefore it attracts bigger numbers. But we don't need to recognize that and do nothing. We need to do something to deal with it. And what changes, that you'll find that in major cities in the world, they always have 2 cities. Others 3 cities. Why? Because it is driven by the changes on the taste of investors. Especially it starts with real estates. If you have noticed, all bigger cities, it starts with real estates. It's real estate sector that will start moving on the outskirts of the CBD, starting investing there for offices, spaces, and all of that. Then it is followed by major developments. Those developments lead to what you see today. It's no Oceans Mall, no the Capital. We've got all these big investments because it started through the real estate, losing interest in the CPT. And what made them to lose interest in the CPT is bigger numbers I've spoken about. Which then, its eventuality is that it creates some levels of a decay. In New York, that we all love, in New York, Abaqalanga, they didn't start by being the New York that you see today. They had all these levels of decay. People were urinating on the street in New York before it becomes what it is today. Your cities like Copenhagen, which are part of the world-recognized and respected cities. The mayor there, when I met with the mayor last year, the mayor said to me, Mr. Mayor, we suffered in such a way that refuse collection, levels of crime in this city, we even became bankrupt, Mr. Mayor. At least you are lucky, because I told him that we are not bankrupt as a city. We are one of the 3 best-run cities when it comes to financial sustainability. We do not owe Eskom. We don't owe Umgeni Water. We meet our obligations. Our credit status is still surpassing many municipalities around the country, and we pride ourselves with that record. So we are not in crisis, but we need to invest resources to revive, resuscitate our CPD. So now it's not something new. Don't call it and give it a name that is eThekwini ebolile. It's a global phenomenon. It has been there in other parts of the world. So that is why there is even an organization which is international in nature, which is called Mayors Migration Council. What gave birth to such organization is because we are recognizing the levels of migration in the bigger cities. That is why they gave us 3.6 million rand to initiate a project that we have already started at Albert Park. That project will be called Karibu Center. That is Swahili. In English, it says you are welcome. In Zulu, shuthi kuzobhala makubhalwe Karibu kushuthi wamukelekile. And that center comes with different packages. We have put different packages. The first package on the services that will be delivered in that, through that center. We have developed a portal. This portal will be profiling all migrants in our city. We want to know why, Kaunda, you are here from Malawi. What are you doing here? Do you have permit to be here? What brought you here? So that when we respond to the needs of people who are already in the city, because you can't neglect them. There are international agreements that we have signed that once people come into your country, you can't say you can't service them. But what constitutes such pockets of interventions? So we are busy packaging that. That app has been developed, and it's not that ngifuna ukuyinikeza nje amahlombe njengomasipala waseThekwini. Cha, it is of its first kind in the country. That is why the doctor who developed that app, Dr. Mbata, from the seat, he has been presenting all over the world about this portal. That is why the Minister of Culture decided to take him away from the seat. She robbed us of such an asset. That fellow is no longer with us now. The Minister National said, hey, come and implement this in the country. So that's why he's over there, National Court. So we pride ourselves with that. But the same center will be rendering services like counseling, rehabilitation programs, nutritional programs, and many other center programs, including creative industry sector. Because some of these colleagues, young and old, who are residing in our facilities, some are still in our marquees, we discovered many talents. Many talents. Some of them, I'm told about 12 of them, they are in overseas as we speak. Because we identified the talent through the marquee where we kept them. We said instead of keeping them there doing nothing, have creative art activities. Then they engage in that. Their talents were then recognized. Now they are overseas. They will be making money. Same group, 30 of them, we negotiated with Southern Sun. We said they are now being rehabilitated. The lady who gave testimony in the event we held 2 weeks ago, she said I was a drug addict. But today, I'm renting my flat, I'm living with my children, I'm working, I'm getting a salary every month because of this program of eThekwini Municipality. 30 of them are fully employed by Southern Sun. They are working there. Another 30, we took them, we trained them in terms of delivering food orders, working with all the retail businesses in that area of hospitality. So those 30 are now driving scooters, delivering food. We took them from our marquees. The other 30, we are training them now because we want to give them skills that will make their life better than what it is. So I'm saying there are pockets of interventions. We are not seated comfortable in our laurels, but we are doing something to deal with the homelessness in the city. We are repurposing some of the old buildings in the city. We have recently been given by Public Works another 2 buildings. We are repurposing those buildings for social housing. So that will also add more value. We have identified 4 land parcels in the city where we'll remove people who are living under the bridges. The first one is about to be implemented. The SCM has been completed. The company is starting to build next to Greyville. So we'll take some of them there and others will be taken to other sites that we have identified. So when you ask us as business, what are you doing about the decay we see in the city? Rest assured, we are doing something. people were raising questions why there was construction in the middle of the CBD in the biggest roads like Pixley Isagaseme, which was formerly known as West Street, and Anton Lembete, which was formerly known as Smith Street. What were you digging there? And former Point Road, which is now Mahatma Gandhi. Why were you digging there? We were replacing bulk pipes of water, of sewer, of electricity cables, which were put around 1930s. So we're replacing all that. So that you as business, when you have interest of coming back to invest in the CBD, you'll find the CBD with the infrastructure that is working. So that's what we are doing. M4 is part of the roads we are doing. The roads in the CBD will be rehabilitated. We have started with M4. We're doing the outbound now. We have appointed a company to do the inbound in the city. So I'm taking leave by giving you the good news. The good news are the debt relief program, which we conducted last year in October to December, which we closed in December. It has now been reopened because we are a carrying city. We recognize the economic climate, that people are finding it difficult to meet their monthly obligations. So you can't have a city that will decide, I've seen some headlines somewhere, I'm not going to be mentioning this city, but I saw some headlines in the news that the city is planning to blacklist people. I said, how do you do such a thing? In this condition of the economy that we find ourselves in, you say you want to blacklist people for not paying. So we are giving you another opportunity, both residential and business. For businesses and residential, we are saying all those who owe us for more than 3 months, 90 days, please come forward and make arrangements. With those arrangements that you are going to be making, we need a down payment of 5% from residential units and 10% down payment from business. As soon as you show up and you sign this agreement of settling your debt, we'll give you up to 36 months to settle your debt. That is 3 years. We are not going to be pushing you. We'll give you up to 36 months to settle your debt. But all those who will come forward, we are going to scrap interest in their debt. By showing your face there to make that arrangement, we'll scrap all the interest in your debt. But the catch is that, please, once you engage in this agreement, please don't cheat in this. This is one of the marriages that you are jealous of. There's no cheating allowed in it. Maybe other marriages they cheat, but this one, it's a very important marriage. So don't cheat. Remain in the system that you have agreed up until you settle your debt in 36 months. But for those who will say, municipality, I'm going to settle this debt within 3 months, we'll give you a discount in your capital debt of 15%. And those of you who can calculate, please give me a calculation roughly of 15% of a person who owe us 8 million. So how much is that? 1.2 million. So that's what we are going to cut in your capital debt if you pay us within 3 months. But if you pay us within 6 months, you'll get 10% discount on your capital debt. If you pay us within 18 months, 7.5%. If you pay us within a year, 7.5%. Within 18 months, 5%. Within 24 months, 2.5%. So we are a caring city. We are welcoming you that you must apply for this opportunity on the debt relief program, which will end on the 30th of June this year. With those few words, ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome. Thank you.
Yes, let's give the mayor another good round of applause. Thank you, Mayor, for that account. That is confirmation that indeed, the city is hard at work, attending to the challenges that are out there. And we are on course in making sure that an enabling environment, is indeed created for investment and to happen and for businesses to thrive. And we want to, invite business, to partner with us and to work with us, in this regard. We now get to the main item of why we're here today. And I am now going to request our Chief Financial Officer to take us through the budget presentation. Asimshayile izandla CFO.
At least I don't need light. Program Director, thank you very much. Greetings to Ubabu Mayor, City Manager and Senior Managers that are here with us, business leaders that are here with us today. Greetings to all of you, all protocols observed. My presentation is on the budget. However, it's important that I touch on the IDP and the one plan because those are the plans that are informing the budget that we are engaging on today. Our IDP is a 5-year strategy document which was adopted by Council 22-23 financial year, is currently up for review on a yearly basis. In terms of the MFMA, we are expected, MFMA and the Systems Act, we are expected to review this plan on an annual basis. So it's out for review together with the budget. The IDP has got focus areas. That's where our resources are focused on. And those strategic focus areas or priority areas, they include the following: creating a safe city, promoting accessibility, and then promoting environmentally sustainability, creating sustainable livelihood within the city, and promoting social cohesion within the city, whilst ensuring that the city is still financially sustainable. There is an 8-point plan that we use in order to achieve the strategic objective of the IDP. And those plans, they include the following. They are driven by the deputy city managers. I am responsible for the last one, the financially accountable and sustainable city. That is my responsibility. The first one, which is shared between DCM Trading Services and Infrastructure, is developing and sustaining our special natural and built environment. And then the second one, developing a prosperous, diverse economy and employment creation. Ulihle is driving that plan for us. Creating a quality living environment, that's one of the plans that we drive in order to ensure that we achieve the objective as per the IDP. Fostering a social equitable environment, Dr. Kumete is the lead for that plan. It's got various indicators that we are expected to achieve. Creating a platform for growth, empowerment and skills development. embracing our cultural diversity, arts and heritage. And then the last one, good governance and responsive local government, which is driven by DCM. So that's how we go about dealing with the strategic areas as per the IDP through the 8-point plan. Back in 2021, the city council had adopted the one plan, which is trying to ensure that there is better coordination between all spheres of government. Before this plan was adopted, there was a diagnostics analysis that was undertaken, which focused on people-related challenges, economy, space, environment, infrastructure, services, and governance. And arising from this, about 32 strategies were put together to ensure that we are able to deal with the challenges that are out there. But I must confirm that all these are also talking to what is in the IDP. So there is an alignment between E1 plan and the IDP. And then the other plan that we use, or framework that we use in order to direct our resources is our spatial development framework, which is required in terms of SPLUMA. Basically, this plan assists us in managing urban growth, assists us in dealing with spatial transformation. It guides us in terms of decision making as to where we invest. It guides the city bulk infrastructure investment and spatially align city budget to deliver the services across the city. The priority areas, as far as this plan are concerned, brownfield, there is a focus in terms of inner city, Pinetown, Umlazi, Bridge City, Mpumalanga, C2 and C3 corridor. And as far as greenfield priority investment areas, you've got Kunubia, SIP2, Ilovo South, Port and Bekoff Port. And then priority investment areas, rural areas is in Mpumalanga, Watlimba, in Changa, Mzinyati, Umbumbulu, and Umnini. So that's how we focus our resources as far as the SDF is concerned. And then now coming to the budget, I must say that as Baumea has already indicated, this city has not been fortunate over the years in terms of disasters. So this budget was one of those that were difficult to compile. There are competing IDP priorities that we had to consider as we were preparing this budget. The complex municipal operating environment. The budget is based on a projected collection rate of about 93%. This 93% is the collection as at the end of December, so we had to ensure that we are realistic in terms of what we project to collect. We've noted the declining trend in terms of cash reserves owing to rising operating costs. We are also still dealing with backlogs in terms of service delivery, and the demands arising from urbanization, as Ubaba Mayor has indicated. The current associated economic impact on the affordability of business and consumers, we had to consider that. We're also noting now the reduction in terms of electricity revenue and also water and solid waste. The volumes are dropping, so we had to consider that as we were putting this budget together. The major damage to infrastructure, as Baumea indicated, we're still busy repairing a number of our assets across the city, so we had to consider that we'll be continuing with these repairs in the next financial year, because as we reported previously, the implications for the 2022 were close to 6 billion, and for January 2024 is about 1.5 billion. So we have to ensure that we allocate the resources to deal with these damages that we've experienced. The minimal growth in terms of our rate base has also been considered. With all these, we still have to ensure that our budget is credible, balanced, realistic, fully funded, and cash-backed. Tariff increases, we also had to consider the fact that they must be cost-reflective as required by the MFMA, whilst they are still affordable. As Baumea indicated, our budget is 67.3. It's made up of 7.5 capital and 59.7 billion operating. Our sources of revenue, the big one coming from electricity at 19.9 billion, and then there is rate income, which is projected to be at about 11.8 billion. And then you've got your water revenue projected at 7.5 billion. We've got sanitation services, which is projected at about 1.8 billion. Your service charges from refuse collection, about 1.1 billion. And then you've got your other revenue from rental of buildings. We do own buildings across the city. We're projecting about 1.1 billion. Interest on investments in terms of our reserve, we're expecting about 823 million. Interest on debtors is projected at about 766 million. And grant funding from national and provincial of about 9.3 billion, and other revenue of 5.6 billion. So those are the sources of revenue that we had to consider as we were compiling this budget. The expenditure, operating expenditure, is as follows: is inclusive of employee-related costs of about 14.3 billion. You've got your bulk purchases of about 16.5 billion. Bulk purchases is our purchase of electricity and water. You've got remuneration of councillors. You also have the inventory to be consumed, 4.6 billion. Debt impairment is projected at about 3 billion. As I've indicated, the basis for the budget is 93%. So the 7% is part of what we are reporting as 3 billion. There is a depreciation relating to the usage of our infrastructure and other assets of about 3.1 billion. As you know, our loan book is around 9.5 billion. There is interest on loan that is projected at about 1.1 billion. Contracted services, where we use external service providers, that bill is about 6.8 billion. Transfers and subsidies, we do support NGOs and other key stakeholders that are helping us in terms of service delivery. The total there is about 731. Operational cost, other operational cost about 3.2, and the other losses, including your water and electricity, about 1.7 billion. So that's the makeup of our operating expenditure. Tariff increases, we've received your comments as far as our tariff increases are concerned. As Babu Mayor indicated, this is a draft and we're still reviewing these tariffs. So we appreciate the fact that you've submitted your comments. I can assure you they will be considered, and they are currently being considered. For rates, we are proposing 7.9% tariff increase. For electricity, the proposal is 14%. This is subject to NESA approval. But as you are aware, ESCOM approved tariff is about 12.72%. So this one, the reason why it's not in line with inflation is mainly due to the fact that ESCOM tariff is higher than the inflation. With respect to water, the proposal is 14.9%. For domestic and business is about 14.9% as well. This proposal is informed by Umgeni approved tariff of 9.5%. And as we are aware, Council concluded the process of supporting the Umkomazi dam late last year. There was a resolution, I think it was around February, the first resolution, and thereafter the matter was concluded. So as part of our contribution, we had to consider that there is about 3% relating to Umkomazi included in the 14.9%. Sanitation is 12.9% that is being proposed for both business and domestic. And refuse removal, we are proposing 8% for domestic, and business about 9%. So those are the tariffs that are being proposed. But as I've said, we are considering your input. The free basic services, the package is still there. What we've done this year, I think we've done one change, major change. We've increased the limit of 250 for free services, water, sanitation, and also refuse. So if you are staying in a house worth 350 or less now, you are then entitled to the free 6 kiloliter. Last year it was 250 kiloliter. Otherwise, our package is still almost the same as what we had presented in the previous financial year. We are still engaging with Amakosi as far as the flat rate for services. It was approved by council. The consultation is taking place. We still do have various programs to support job creation and also develop skills. And those programs include the ablution facilities where we've got caretakers, 1,600, water-related services, use of 1,584 plumbing contractors on a rotational basis, refuse removal services, 466 community-based contractors are being used to assist us with the service delivery. Rural water and sanitation project, we do have community-based contractors assisting there. We have budgeted for about 887 EPWP. Zibambele program is also going to continue. Same as Sihlanzimvelo stream cleaning is continuing. There is allocation of 48 million. The MMS 450 temporal jobs or job opportunities from events that are being hosted is there. The presidential employment status PEP stimulus, PEP is continuing. National Treasury allocated an additional 107 million for the next financial year. With respect to skills development, we still have various programs to develop skills. There is water mentorship program that is currently being run. We also provide bursaries. Electricity is driving that with respect to the electricians. We've got ECSA accredited mentorship program where we've got 10 candidates. We also have other programs where we are accredited. 9 electrical apprentices have been trained under QCTO. Those programs will continue as far as this budget is concerned. The capital budget, the makeup, about 30% of our budget is going towards water and sanitation infrastructure. Water is 1.4 billion, sanitation is 770 million. We will continue rehabilitating our roads. There is 761 million. Included there is the road that was mentioned by Babu Mayor, the M4, is going to be upgraded during the next financial year. There is about 110 million there. Housing, there is 826 that has been allocated, mainly coming from provincial housing, human settlement department. As we know, we perform this function in support of the provincial mandate. For entities, there is about 72 million allocated. CES, Community and Emergency Services, 760 million allocated to deal with their infrastructure. Economic Development, 558 million. Included there is our catalytic project, like Oshongweni, they do have allocation. Electricity, 679 million has been allocated to upgrade and also put a new infrastructure where required, especially for the catalytic project. And then solid waste, 369 has been allocated to deal with the landfill sites, upgrade, and also the equipment that they use for refuse collection. Our capital budget, how is funded, 1.5 billion is proposed for borrowing, and then grants that will be coming from mainly national and some from provincial is about 3.4 billion. Internal funding is about 2.6 billion, which equates to about 35%. That internal funding, it equates to about 6%. If we were to reduce this eliminate the internal funding completely, the impact that you can see on our tariff is about 6% reduction. 1% equates to about 400 in terms of our package of tariff. So our tariff have considered the fact that some of the infrastructure was damaged and has to be repaired. Hence, is at the level that we are proposing. Key priorities, I think Babu Mayor has covered these priorities. I'm not going to go through them, but the issue of sanitation, your low-cost housing, ETA, electricity infrastructure, community service backlogs, road rehabs, water loss intervention program, and your catalytic, those are the priorities that we are dealing with. With respect to water and sanitation, over the next 3 years, there is about 5.3 billion that is proposed in this budget to deal with the infrastructure, to deal with the issue of water losses or non-revenue water. Water has a budget of about 1.4 billion in 24-25, and a total of 2.9 billion over the MTREF. And this amount will cover the key project, including Southern Aqueduct, upgrading of our SCADA system, Adams 6 reservoir, Inabu to Ngonyameni line. Those are the key projects that will be covered in terms of this budget for next year. Sanitation has a capital budget of 770 million, and is 2.3 billion over the MTRF to be spent on upgrading wastewater treatment works, upgrade of SCADA system, Mahatma Gandhi project, alternative sanitation technology. This will help address many of the challenges that we are currently experiencing. Electricity, over the next 3 years, 2.1 billion has been allocated. Is going to cover various new and existing substations and other infrastructure. Engineering, 760 million allocated. Over the next 3 years is about 1.7 billion. The focus there is on roads project, road rehab, civil engineering structures, road upgrades, gravel to surface. And the ETA has a capital budget of about 755 million. Is 2.3 billion over the MTRF. Bulk of this budget is funded through the national grant from Department of Transport. These will cover C1 and C3. C3, we are finalizing that project, as Babu Mayor indicated. We are almost ready to go live. Catalytic project, 728 million will be spent on catalytic project over the MTRF, and these include Sibaya, Brickworks, Oceans, Umhlanga, Shongweni Mixed Use Development, Giba Business Park, Durban Film City, and Point Water Front Development. These are some of the projects, you've seen them. I'm not going to go into details on these ones. Repairs and maintenance of infrastructure. Electricity, 1.2 billion for electricity to repair and rehabilitate has been set aside. 778 million for water and sanitation, 684 million for engineering services, including roads and stormwater. In terms of our maintenance and upgrades, we are slightly above 10%. In terms of the comments that we received, you indicated that we need to increase this. We will be looking at it as we move forward. So we are around 10% in terms of our spend if we look at our maintenance plus the upgrade of the existing infrastructure. Safer City, there is an inner city regeneration plan that is currently being implemented. We are also recruiting additional police officers on an annual basis. The commitment is about 400. Safety and effective policing, metropolis, security management, and all the key stakeholders. There is an integrated enforcement that is currently in place. As you also might have read, we are implementing smart policing. Procurement processes are currently in progress to ensure that come next year, we are able to implement a smart policing. Disaster resilience, early warning systems, and training of disaster community volunteers. There is a focus on that as far as this budget is concerned. Also, neighborhood management, we are working with UIPs, in terms of dealing with some of the challenges that the city is facing. Attracting investment, you are aware of a Tetra Pak expansion project in New Germany, about 200 million. There is also 250 million regarding Tereco data environment expansion project, and SRF Flexi Park in Kettleridge, about 700 million. Freemax, about 650 million investment. There's been a lot of investor interest with respect to other projects, especially around energy that we are working on. Tourist intervention in line with the Durban visitor marketing strategy that was approved by Council back in October 2022. There are various initiatives or activities that we've been doing in terms of promoting the city. Service delivery target, this budget has to respond to the IDP priorities as I've indicated. These are the service delivery target. Housing, we're planning to deliver about 2,091 houses during the year. Water connection, about 2,100. That is planned. We're also planning to do sewer connection, about 1,500. And then the number of kilometers of roads to be built, and some bridges as well that are planned during the next 3 years. In summary, Program Director, that's the budget presentation, IDP budget presentation that we wanted to share with you. Thank you very much.
But thank you, Dr. Mnguni, for that detailed presentation. We now get to the engagement part of the program. In order for us to manage time, I will request that we take 2 rounds of hands. I will take 5 hands each. And please assist by keeping it simple and short. No long preambles. So we are now opening the floor for questions of clarity, if there are any comments, suggestions, for all those who want to engage with the presentation. There are roving mics. If I can then please request to see hands. There is 1 here. Okay. There's 3 hands in the front. There's 4 there. Any other one? There's 5 here. Okay, in that order.
Thank you very much. Good morning to the leadership of the city. But I'd like to apologize for being a little bit late. But it's good that I came just in time for the presentation of the CFO. For those that don't know me, my name is Palesa Pili. I'm the CEO of the Durban Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We did write a letter to your office, Babu Mayor and City Manager, objecting to some of the proposals that were put into the budget. And I will just talk through 1 or 2 that we didn't see the CFO talk about, and we would like some clarity on them. But maybe before I talk about the negative side, Babu Mayor, I think we'd like to commend you, you and your team, that the issue that we had in the last couple of years was, of course, the capital expenditure, where I think, was it last year or the previous years, it was sitting at around 5.6%. We're happy to see that now it is sitting at 11%. However, we would like to say to you, please use the opportunity. We've come to the city. We've said as private sector, we are ready and willing to invest in the infrastructure of the city so that some of this capital expenditure, you can use it in the much needed areas. The areas that we know are priority, especially for the economy, we are ready to have a partnership with yourselves, especially for businesses here in KZN, in Durban. I would just like to get some clarity, CFO. I see you didn't talk about the developers levy, that you know that we really ad nauseum for the last 2 years have been saying what is happening. We cannot be having the developers levy. It is not good for development, and we can't be having development because already we're losing quite a lot of development that is moving up north into the Ilembe district, which is a big challenge for us. And you also didn't touch on the vacant land rates. We'd like to hear what the city's plans are on the vacant land rates. When it comes to the electricity, we really would like you to remember and reconsider the challenges that we're faced with as the city as businesses in the city of eThekwini. You know the different challenges that I'm not going to go through in terms of the resources and of course lack of service delivery and everything that has been happening. So we would like you to reconsider the higher increased tariffs. We would like you to, the increase for electricity to remain in line with NERSA and not be increased. I think also the water increases are a little bit too high. City manager, mayor, and your team, we've had various engagements with you to say we can help if we can partner together. So we would like to really go back and re-engage on those aspects. When it comes to tourism, we're definitely not happy with the plan that has been put forward. It is not a proper plan, as we know that we're a tourism city, and we have serious challenges when it comes to tourism. We've had various engagements with yourself, Babu Mayor, City Manager. Some of the things that we discussed have not been acted upon, and I'm sure you are aware that tomorrow the DG of tourism nationally is coming to meet with us tomorrow to see how can we all revitalize Durban. But the most important thing is we really need to have programs that are geared to promoting Durban. We know that there's been quite a lot of negativity about our city chasing away visitors from coming. Wherever there's quick wins and things that have been done, we need to communicate out there and have programs to encourage people to say it is safe to come to Durban, and these are the things that we're doing. But we hopefully, from tomorrow's workshop with the National Tourism DG, we will have clear plans to move forward. I'm going to stop there so that I can allow my other colleagues to also make comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Palisa.
Good morning. My name is Andre Kepiela. I'm from KZN Growth Coalition. We work very closely with, obviously, business, and including all the chambers, because we operate in 11 municipalities, but eThekwini is the biggest and the most important. It's over 60% of the economy is generated here. Mr. Mayor, thank you for inviting us and obliging to change of date. Your comment that you would like to see more business people is valid, but we have solicited their input extensively in the last 3 weeks. And when I've met with the CFO, Sandile, about 2 months ago, we've agreed that there will be better and closer cooperation. And we indeed getting CFO, responding to our requests and making business to operate easier. But there are 4 or 5 areas that I would like to comment. One is that we must collectively ask ourselves a question: why are we losing investments of the current companies operating in eThekwini? That is a question that we have to face and interrogate, and then obviously come up with answers. Secondly, why is the output of the budget in real terms, I'm even talking about obviously taking the inflation into account, why is the budget not delivering this at the same level as it used to 15, 20 years ago? If you look at the expenditure for housing, for instance, how much we spend, we are not producing the number of houses as we used to at 10, 13,000 annually. So we have to ask ourselves, is the budget performing for us using the expenditure as is being collected, and is it generating the economic impact that we should have? Remember, we are not going to deal with our problems, in particular with unemployment and poverty and so on, if we don't generate growth in the economy. Durban used to outperform even Johannesburg when it comes percentage of GDP growth until a couple of years ago. So the question is why, okay? The next one is what the mayor responded, because we did write a letter on Friday highlighting few things for consideration. And as we always do, we don't do this for publicity purposes and go to the media or anything like this. We write honestly to the mayor, copy municipal manager and CFO and say, those are the concerns. Please, can you address them? And if you require any further input, we can sit down and we can talk about this. I also want to put public on record that we've offered for the last 3 or 4 years to bring, at the cost of business, expertise of 4 or 5 top guys specializing in performance of the budgets, and then interrogate and make an input from the private sector perspective in particular, how to improve the performance of the budget. Now, in particular, that our president and the national government is encouraging private sector participation. So it opens opportunity, but we haven't explored that. And that's what I was saying to Musambele for quite some time. Let us bring those guys, the legal guys that structure contracts, the developers that are operating, they input, then in terms of tourism guys and so on and so forth. That's what's important, that we have this and we can shift the budgets which business perceives now, that it's a socio-political budget and not socio-economic budget. So there were many reasons why, obviously, socio-political implications entered, obviously, the fray. And some of the results are unfortunate. You know, the old point that we make about Go Durban, our understanding that it was to be launched 8 years ago. Our further understanding is that over 5 billion rand have been spent on that project, directly or indirectly, but in the name of public transport in eThekwini, okay? And not a single passenger has been moved on Go Durban. We've been given dates, as the mayor even himself saying it lightly or in frustration today, that end of July is the last date. There is a problem, and we know because there are officials that are telling us what the problems are. But again, we don't want to talk in a public forums about details of this because it has to be negotiated and it has to be implemented. I think I'll stop now for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have the lady over there.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Zora Teke, and I represent a consortium of businesses on Florida Road. I've been tasked to raise a few concerns from Florida Road businesses, particularly in light of the AKA murder last year. Restaurants and businesses on Florida Road have raised a number of concerns in terms of the lack of engagement from the city, in particular with our requests for better lighting, better security, and a loss of a lot of businesses on Florida Road. We are currently requesting engagement with the city, which we are quite hopeful, but I've been asked to bring this to your attention in terms of just the sense that businesses in Florida Road have felt they've been isolated and left alone to pick up the pieces with little or no assistance from the city in a very important node which has impacted everybody on the city. I've also noted on the budget presentation, just out of concern, that the city has granted 50 million to the proposed Durban Film City, which is expected to create 11,000 jobs, and that's fantastic. Florida Road alone creates over 3,000 jobs, and we haven't received a single grant. So I think that sort of conversation needs to be taken forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Zola. Let's come to this side of the room. Thanks, sir.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Mzwamandla Sosibo from the South African Maritime Safety Authority. I think I've got comments than questions. My first comment would be around, there's a list of projects that both the mayor and the CFO has touched on, and most of those projects are requiring skills. Now, my comment would be based on the influence of the city around skills development strategies that are being employed by the universities around the city, so that we move away from importing skills when we encounter opportunities for the youngsters, but also to make sure that the youngsters are given the relevant skills. I'm saying this because you'd still go to the universities and find that they're offering skills or qualifications like your public administration, but they know 90% of those are not going to be employable. How do we then begin to influence the institutions such that they focus mainly on the socio-economic drivers in terms of those qualifications so that they are relevant to the skills? But I think it's also noted, CFO, Honorable Mayor, the concept of debt relief. Because to me, managing and administrating that process of trying to recover the monies, it's costly in its own. And therefore, when we have this debt reliefs kind of an arrangement, it begins to also save on the side of the admin costs around disconnections and reconnections and all that kind of issues. The issue of tariffs, and I think I would agree with Upalesa to say, I think there's a need for a review, understanding the socio-economic challenges that the communities are faced with. As we speak, if the municipality were to look into the rate of disconnections, it would suggest that people are not affording the services. And therefore, there's a need to say, when people cannot afford, there's a need for a review. There's an issue of disruptions in terms of electricity and water supply. And I think some of those we experienced during the unprotected strike that was there. But still, people are still stealing cables, copper pipes, and so forth and so on. And that simply means there's an issue of criminal elements in the system that are disrupting the services that the city is trying to give to the people. And I think element of law enforcement that is needed in that space. The economic participation, there are big projects that are coming up. Perhaps at the level of the chambers, they may be aware of the opportunities that are there. But how much do we go into the general public to say there's a setup that is coming up at eShongweni, and the participation in that regard from the layman point of view, what would it be? And lastly, the profitable use of land and buildings that the municipality owns. I think it would be able to input positively into the income, and therefore it may just be able to cover up for the additional costs that the municipality is setting up in terms of trying to recover from the general populace. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. The last hand.
Thank you, Program Director. Good morning to the colleagues. Good morning to the Mayor. My name is Mfundo Hlope. I am representing a consortium of public and private partnerships. I'm a young person, and by being part of this hearing, I'm here to basically talk about what my colleague has also mentioned, the interventions around training, skills, and development. Particularly one that I've noted, which is very close to the mayor's heart, which is technology. We are in the fourth industrial revolution space, and in that regard, we're implementing quite a number of programs and projects in partnerships with some of the units that are here. One of the challenges that we faced last year is that there is a huge gap in terms of specialized skills, especially from a grassroots perspective. And I also note the comments of the mayor speaking about migration and the number of persons that are migrating into the city. But there's also a huge immigration outside of the city in terms of brain drainage. And we have been given a mandate by the Department of Science and Innovation to set up science, technology, and engineering centers around the city. And in this forum, I would like to propose to the mayor and the rest of the officials here to support this initiative, because it's really disheartening for some of us to see a number of opportunities being wasted because we don't have the proper skills in terms of reaching that last point mile, especially in our townships and rural communities. So my comment today is that when these budgets are being put together, would like to participate in that process, and obviously to plead this grouping to support us in this initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, so that is our first round. Let me then invite the accounting officer to make a strategic response on the questions and inputs and comments raised. And if the CFO and respective DCMs want to make specific additions, please do so after the city manager. Babumpe.
Program Director, good morning to you, His Worship the Mayor, members of business fraternity who are part of the meeting here, the CEO of the chamber, notably Ospalisa, Andre Kipila from KZN Growth Coalition, and other influential business people who are part of the meeting. Program Director, it's not Zola, it's Zora. I've been corrected a couple of times because I used to call her Zola. She's actually Zora. Thank you very much for participating in this session, and thank you very much for a good set of questions that you have fielded here. Most of them are good suggestions. They are comments which we will take into consideration. I just want to talk in the main as a response about two specific points. The relationship that we have with business. Fortunately for me, I was at the helm of economic development many years ago in the city. I was also the head of city planning. During that period of 10 years, I have been in a better position to understand the dynamics of business, particularly insofar as it engages with the city, and how do different pieces of the puzzle work together to create a bigger and better picture. As the city, we value this relationship, and we will continue to do. And one of the things that we have set ourselves to do was to listen and listen carefully to business, and not only listen, but to act. Business came to us and said, we would like to help solve some of the infrastructure projects that you have, which is the point that you have also raised, Palisa. And we have heeded that call. We have issued an expression of interest tender that has gone out, and we are hoping that business people are going to respond. We've recognized that we are not going to solve all these problems in a short space of time. We don't have money enough to be able to solve all the development backlogs, and that's why we are calling upon business to come and participate. And we will continue to also involve business as well in most of our business, because we are a government that cares and a government that listens. So when you're talking about the performance of the capital budget, Andre, we will probably have to talk more and understand where you are coming from with a comment that we have not heeded the offer that you made for professionals to participate in the whether it's the implementation or the actual drafting of the capital budget. We will clear that when we continue to engage. You are correct about the performance of the capital budget being suboptimal, and there are many reasons for that, and I want to share very briefly some of the interventions that we are putting in place to deal with that. The main reason why the capital budget has not performed that well, and clearly you see that through poor expenditure, and generally speaking, you should be spending over 50% of your budget by the 31st of December, which is what you normally should be projecting. And we have been spending less than that. And this is a problem across most metros who command big size budgets. One of the things that we are seeking to resolve is to ensure that we conclude planning in the year preceding the year of implementation. In other words, by the 30th of June this year, we generally need to have concluded all the procurement processes, so that come the 1st of July, we hit the ground running, right? And we've been engaging in an iterative process to try to solve that problem, but we haven't really nipped it in the bud, that problem of poor budget expenditure. And that relates mainly to a lack of project management capacity in the organization. So you can have 128 engineers, but when you speak to some of them, they will tell you that we are trained engineers, will tell you how to lay the pipe. But when it comes to the intricacies of project management, project financing, and SCM planning, that's not what we were taught. And then when you reason with them and you tell them that, no, but as you plan to lay the pipe, you know that you've got to do it within cost, you've got to do it within time, you've got to deliver on a good quality. And then they say, oh, is that project management? And believe you me, it sounds like a mockery, but it's a problem generally that we haven't gone beyond the theoretical aspect of project management to actual implementation. And what have we done about it? We've established a project management office in the office of the Chief Operations Officer, and we are in a process of recruiting relevant people to help infuse this ethos of project management across different units, particularly infrastructure units. So we have appointed Mr. George Mhlakwane as the acting Chief Operations Officer with his background in dealing with major capital projects. He has been part of the 2010, working in the metros and having been an executive director there. So we've given him a clear mandate to be able to set up this project management office. We've even given him a blank check to appoint consultants who will come in and support this program. So maybe that's when we can talk more about also engaging the external partners to also drive this process. But then we realized that you can't divorce poor capital budget implementation from the poor SCM processes. And then we have introduced a number of reforms there. And we've been very clear that, sorry, come the end of this month, at least 90% of our budget should have been through SCM process and completed. And that is what we are doing now. So we are hoping that come the 31st of December this year, which is the first half of next financial year, we will have surpassed 50%, and then we will show a good progress in the latter part of the financial year. But then the last point is that it's one thing to spend your money, but it's another to receive good development outcomes out of that money. And that is another discussion which will really be embedded within this project management program, because then the quality part of it is what we are going to interrogate carefully. The issue of businesses moving to the north, my sister Palisa, I beg to differ. Just mainly, or your statement or your averment was that business is moving to the north because we are charging development levies. Skhumbuzo Hlongwane, who is my former colleague in the south, he's the executive director responsible for planning. And I said to him, do you guys not charge development levies? No, I just dropped him a message. He says, yes, we do. Because that is a phenomenon across the country, that these levies are charged. Maybe you want to call it something else, but the principle is that he who causes land use change will obviously have to contribute towards infrastructure improvement. If your development is putting more trips, vehicular trips, on that road, and the road is constrained, and our program was meant to develop somewhere else, all we are saying, help us to widen that road so that we also accommodate your development. That is the essence behind it. It's not necessarily intended to punish the developers. And we are very flexible about cost contributions. Unless if someone says to me, I'm using the words interchangeably per our cost contributions and the levies. But the principle is the same. The principle is that help us improve the functionality of the city by contributing a portion towards the improvement of infrastructure. In certain instances, we have paid 70% and the developers have paid 30%. And when we ask our colleagues in Cape Town, they are saying, wow, you must be the wealthiest city. You're paying for people's development. We don't do that. We've got it in writing. But we are saying, because we understand that development is very nomadic. You have it today, tomorrow you don't have at the press of a button. So we're very sensitive to those things. That's why sometimes we even go as far as 70%. But we're finalizing the policy, and we will consult a business on that policy so that it is not heavy on businesses, because we want businesses. Metros can't survive without businesses. Let me, before I sit down, speak about the issue of increase in tariffs. We will take your comments into consideration, but I just want to be honest and brutally frank. Otherwise, I'll be leading you down the garden path. The cost of living in the country in general are reflective of the dire economic situation that we are facing, generally speaking. Eskom sets the tariff that high. Umngeni uthukela water set the tariff that high. Right? You have to buy fuel. the increase in fuel that you hear about in the country, we are not immune to them. Part of the strike that we had last time was because our workers are saying, you are not paying us, in a manner that can help us keep up with inflation. And therefore we are taking to the streets. So the salary costs go that much high. So all these costs are brought to bear on how we do our business, right? So you will have increase in tariffs that will be sensitive to inflation. But I can't vouch for a situation where there will be no increase whatsoever. Otherwise, I'll be running this institution to the ground, because it means that we will have to deliver services at tariff charges that are not cost reflective, because the legislation requires us to really take it into consideration. What are the cost input in providing a particular service, and your tariff must reflect that. And I've requested the CFO when we can engage. I said, how is Cape Town, Durban, Joburg, Ekurhuleni, Tshwane are doing in these things? Are we that bad? Because when we go and do the road shows, you find people are also complaining in a similar manner. So I'm saying where we feel, Andre, that we are hitting above what everybody else is charging, which is cost reflective, we will consider that, but we can never have an environment where we will have zero increase. Otherwise, what it means, as I said, is that it will mean that we will have to do away with all these rebates and all these other things that we give, but we will also have to lose money in the process, trying to ensure that we don't increase. By the way, if I were to echo the sentiments made by the mayor, is that we pride ourselves in being one of the most financially stable metros. Notwithstanding all the problems in service delivery and all these challenges, but our financial ratios are reflecting that we are most financially stable. And it's not us dancing to our own tune, it's also the National Treasury saying it. It's also the Minister of National Treasury saying that. It's also the rating agencies that are saying it. So all we need to do is to complement what the finance team are doing with good service delivery on the ground. And we are hoping that by bringing in private sector role players, by also ensuring that we fix issues of better spending of capital budget, ensuring that we introduce project management, we will be able to up the scale on the delivery side so as to complement what the finance team are doing, and we're very grateful for it. Zola, Zora, why am I contradicting myself, you know? I've stood here and I corrected Lihle, but I'm the one who's messing it up, sorry. Zora, we are going to look after Florida Road. We will engage, you have raised it with me sharply. Part of what we are doing in the inner city by introducing 100 men and women this week, Shannon, we are going to look at our finances just to ensure that we extend that particular service to Florida, but more important, to ensure that there's better lighting, public realm is looked after, and all those things. Palisa, what we decided to do, particularly in the CBD, in light of the call that you made as part of tourism stakeholders that we have with you, was that you were worried about issues of security, vandalism of infrastructure, public facilities, toilets that are not working, public realm that is not maintained in general, grass that is not cut. Over and above the operation, fast-tracking operation that we have started, we're also going to be hiring 100 men and women, athletes, not athletes for running. I'm saying people who are going to be able to embark in physical combat when it is necessary for them to do so. They will be clearly visible. They will work in support of the work of Metropolis. 100 of them in the inner city. They are starting this week. The mayor will probably in the coming weeks launch that particular project. We are doing similar to what Cape Town is doing with those security guards. And we want to ensure that people, when they come to Durban CBD, they feel safe. They're going to become eyes and ears. They will pick up vandalism, you know, when it is taking place and stuff like that. So that is what we are going to have. So we will look at extending that. And those people are not employed by the city. They are going to be working under the wing of the UIP. So the tender was very clear. We said the UIP kind of a setup must work to help to deliver on issues like that. I think the rest were just comments which we note and we will deal with. Thank you very much.
Thanks, City Manager. Let me then request Dr. Mnguni to just make specific additions to that response. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Program Director. I think the accounting officer has covered most of the issues. The one that maybe I must speak to is the vacant land rates. The rate policy, draft rate policy was approved by council. I think it was in January. It went out for comments, and I must say that we've received comments from business. We are seriously considering the proposals that we've made, and we should be going back to council end of April. Some of the comments that you are making is that we need to have a rebate. That comment, as I've said, we are seriously considering it. So by end of April, it should be clear in terms of how we're going to implement. There are also proposals in terms of where that rebate should be, 10%, 20%. So those proposals are being considered. I think that was the only issue that was not covered. Thank you very much, Program Director.
All right. Thank you for those responses. Is there any other burning issue people may want to raise? Okay. Two hands only. Oh, three. Okay, so that will be the last round. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. City Manager, I just wanted to respond on two things. Maybe I just used the example of the developers levy maybe incorrectly, but we did rightly, I think it was last year, share with you that we're a very expensive city to be doing business with, and I showed you the stats that were done around. So I think my comment was also around that, and I just happened to add the developers levy and of course the vacant land rates. When it comes to the expression of interest, maybe I would like us, maybe before you leave, that we have a private discussion, because the feedback that I received from the stakeholders that were keen is not so good. So we'll have a private session around that, City Manager, and I hope that you'll take that into consideration to make sure that we move forward, to make sure that private sector does assist in fixing the major infrastructure challenges we have. Thank you very much.
Just to indicate why we are so persistent, CFO and Mr. Mayor and MM, on the vacant land, because it's not just affecting the developers. when the developer sells a piece of land, look at Sibaya, for instance, okay? Somebody bought a piece of land to develop from a developer or sub-developer, because there's a major developer like Demco, below them, the people buying, pieces of land, and they on-sell or develop themselves or combinations and so on. A guy who bought the land 4 years ago from one of those companies, okay, and he is then party to applying for building his own house and so on and so forth. So there are also delays over there. So even if he had the cash straight away, he bought for 1.4 million, and after 4 years, because of the vacant land and some principle, he has got a bill of 1.8 million. So suddenly, he can't afford to develop, although he gets a permission now to build. I'm just giving an example how it hits. So it's not only the major developers. So now the major developers are asked when they come, how much will I have to pay if I only develop in 5-6 years' time? And they say, well, those are the government's rules and so on and so forth. So we can't have that because we are shooting ourselves in the foot. We don't have any cranes, guys. If you travel from south to north, I think there's 1 or 2 cranes on the oceans finishing off those 2 towers and so on. We don't have cranes. We don't have developments. It just stopped. And the money has left, sometimes within South Africa, sometimes going outside of South Africa. So we're in trouble. So we have to interrogate that question deeply and then come up with a strategy. The other one is that we wanted to contribute. Musa, thanks for clarifying, because you've understood exactly what we were saying. In other words, we have to interrogate if the rand that you collect is working for us. And then you've identified lack of management of packaging projects, and then on time and so on and so forth. The other thing is that we encouraged municipal management to look at now the changes that are taking place generally in the province as elections come and nationally and so on. And reassert yourself as managers. Don't allow committees to dictate to you what programs will be implemented and what projects will be implemented, on what basis, and who will get the contracts. I think everyone in the room understands what I'm saying. Because that is the cancer that is eating us. That is the cancer. When we talk to the water people, and we offered to fix 2 stations to stop this bleeding on the beachfront because of the pollutions and so on, and then the bad publicity we're getting all the time, no matter what we do, is they were to fix it for X, Y, Z. So the officials were saying, well, it has to go through a process and so on and so forth. And it won't be next month or in 2 months' time. It will take most probably 18 months for that to happen, for that to be approved payment. And most probably it will come at 3 times the price. So this is what we are facing. This is what we are facing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Let's get the lady behind you, and then Susan Wenabama. Thank you.
I'm Sneh, and I just have a quick question. If there are any programs specifically for the unemployed youth included in the budget. I'm a graduate, and I've been unemployed for, I think, over 3 years now. So I wanted to just find out if there are any programs specifically for us as the unemployed youth. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan.
Thank you, Mvelase. Good morning to His Worship, Mayor Kaunda, City Manager, all the business leaders in the house. The name is Peter Tembane from the South African Breweries. There's just 2 things that I'd like to sort of clarify. I see there's a 1.2 billion allocated to electricity to repair and rehabilitation. I just need to check if this will sort out the power dips that have been experienced in the Durban South Basin. We've had meetings with the electricity department for the last couple of years. And each time we engage, they kind of tell you that because the infrastructure is so bad, the power dips cannot be helped. So I hope, and I guess I'm asking if this 1.2 billion will go towards that. And then second issue is around the water. Again, I see this budget of 700, almost 780 million towards the water infrastructure. The issue we have is the meters. So the municipal meters break down and an estimate is done. And then you pay on the estimate. And then later, somebody picks up that what they billed us is less than what we should have been billed, and then you get a bigger bill, and then there's arguments that happen. And then the more we try to realign, I mean, it delays your revenue. So can the city just maybe take top 20 customers that use the most water and just ensure that the water meters are working and accurate all the time so that you don't have revenue delay, and we also don't feel like we don't know where we stand with the water bill. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, thanks for those clarifications and follow-ups, Palisa and Andre. Maybe with the last one. I think I saw DCM Makanya. DCM Makanya, are you in the room? Okay, but may use on cover. And there's also a specific question around youth unemployment. In the mayor's closing remarks, those matters will be touched on. So thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your inputs. Let me then invite His Worship the Mayor to make his closing remarks. Over to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Program Director, not the Problem Director. Thank you. You became a very good Program Director, not the Problem Director. One thing that we pride ourselves with, colleagues from business, is that when we appoint officials, we appoint people who are qualified. We don't appoint people because they've produced a particular membership card that at least we don't do that. Asifune nxa kuzoyibamba la sifuna nje umuntu nama skills with merit, then you do the job. Your CFO, who's our CFO for the city, is a chartered accountant. Is a PhD holder. Your city manager, he was appointed because he holds masters in town planning. He's pursuing his studies further. I don't want to put unnecessary pressure to him, but I told him that he must finish what he's doing there. So the good fellow who was sharing here, we just appointed him as a DCM responsible for economic development and planning because he's well qualified for that job. Not that he looks like the mayor in terms of the completion, but in terms of skills, he possesses the skills that and the experience that many of them. In fact, the number of doctors are increasing. Now, I fought with the 45 that I met, who are our employees, 45 doctors that I met. I said when they come to that function, they must wear their red gowns. They came in their red gowns, wearing the big hats, black. Then I said to them, you guys, you possess the knowledge that we want and we need. So it's not for you to remain with the PhD in the city, but you don't write papers to resolve the challenges that you are faced with. So they took that challenge. So don't remain just doctors, but we need you. Research, write papers, give us solutions on the problems that the city is faced with. So I'm hoping that they'll be producing those papers soon. Then I said I want to push them because there are many doctors now. I need more professors. I said these ones who are doctors, they must move with their red gowns. We need another accolades on them. So they are taking that challenge. So the first issue that I would like to respond to, which is part of my closing remarks, there is a Chinese mall which is giving us more problems, which caught fire, you know it, next to Russell Street. We have finalized all the SCM processes. We are going to be spending 28 million to demolish that Chinese mall. We're fighting with the owners there in court. They want to put the blame to us, and we are not going to be accepting that blame. But we are about to introduce the contractor to start demolishing that mall. The second one, people have been complaining to me as a mayor that we once had a very beautiful place called The Wheel. Very beautiful place. You couldn't go there if you are not too sure about what you are wearing. You couldn't go there if you were not clean. But today, you find anyone walking to that center because of what it has become. Now, we sent our team. We said, go there, tell these fellows that we don't want them there anymore because that's a prime land. It's next to the ocean. That's a prime land. So we can't keep them there with that thing that I can't even explain. I'm happy to report to you that we have agreed that they are going, they are leaving. Yeah, they are leaving. We put pressure, they are leaving. So I want to see something bigger coming there in the same site. So the team is still working with them. Then the other buildings, we can even show you photos. The other bad buildings, we are trying to change them to look better because there are those that are still stuck in terms of processing them because they are part of the Heritage Council. So you can't just demolish them. And Heritage Council have insisted that you don't demolish, you can make improvements on them. So we are still working with the Heritage Council on those buildings, but some that were privately owned, which are not part of the Heritage Council, we continue demolishing them in the city. I want to agree, city manager, with the view that if you want to collect more, you don't charge more. You charge lesser if you want to collect more. But if you charge more, you collect less. Because you may have people losing interest of coming to you and do something. So that's a balance that we need to strike. As much as we also want to balance the books, but we need also to ensure that we do not become the leading city in terms of people not affording to pay for us. We need to consider that. We need to ensure that we strike a balance. As much as we need revenue, but we still need to be affordable so that we don't chase people away from the city. Let me tell you, there are those who are buying properties. They talk to us because we are those fellows who just get stopped on the mall and on the streets. People raise their problems. We don't say, hey, I'm not in the office, so I'm not in a meeting. So there are people who are buying properties now who are leaving the city because they are saying, hey, sikhokhisa kakhulu ama-rates lapho kunzima ku-expensive eThekwini. So ngcono beye ngaseBhalito. So we need to talk on those issues and respond. It's not something that we can say it's not happening. It is happening. So we need to look at that. Whilst we do that, we need also to have a balanced budget that will make us to continue to work. So we need to strike the balance in the two. We can't go far less, can't go up in a manner that we become unreasonable. So we need to take that into cognizance. The other issue, it's thank you Zora, or she's still outside. She wrote a very good opinion piece about myself and city manager, because there have been some myth that have been circulating that there is a big war between the city manager and the mayor. So you can judge for yourself. In municipalities where city manager and the mayor, they are not working together, they become dysfunctional. So we are going to achieve all what we have set for ourselves because we work together with Mr. Mpele. We are not friends, we work together. There's a difference between people who are friends. We are working together, we are united. But all those who want to plot against us, let me tell them that they are not going to succeed. If you want to divide us, we are not going to be allowing you to do so. We are united because we've got objectives to attain to make this city work. And for that to happen, it needs a city manager and the mayor that meets that work together. That's what we are exactly doing. And we'll continue to do that. I don't know what these political parties are talking about. They are saying Mpele belongs to a particular faction in politics, Kaunda belongs to another faction. I don't know these factions. I'm even not part of them. There's one thing in politics which I've mastered, is that when you go to conferences, you've got all the rights to have your own perspective, your preference. I always do that. Sometimes I even become the leader of some of those things, which is not bad. I'm allowed to do it. But once the conference is over, I ship out, I dismantle the perspective which I belong to, because I must respect the elected leadership. That's how we're supposed to be running our business. So if you make reference to me being in a particular faction, that means you don't know me. You must learn about me. So those people do not know who Kaunda is. Yeah. I can defend you to the last things. I can defend to the last thing, but when you decide to leave the ANC, I won't follow you. I can defend you to the extreme. But when you decide to leave the movement that I belong to, I don't follow you. Because I was defending you because you are in the ANC. So if you decide to leave, they will defend you somewhere else. So please allow ourselves with city manager, don't bring your divisions to us. Don't bring all the nonsensical stories to us. We know we have a vision. We know where we want to go to make this city work. So if you don't get any comfort about this unity that we have with city manager, please try and leave the seat and stay somewhere. Allow us to make this city work. We are not going to be entertaining all those things that people are saying because we know what we are doing. Unemployed youths, I was seated in a public hearing. On Thursday or on Friday. So this mama who's making a comment, we are seated there, it's myself, Deputy Mayor, Speaker, Councillor Tembo, Councillor Madlala. So this honorable member of the community, she rise and say, hey, you don't want to employ us. You say we are 60 years, but as you are seated there, I can recognize that you guys, you are above 65 years, but you are still working. So I'm saying the issue of the youth have been raised very sharply to us. So, but I questioned my fellow colleagues. I said, hey, are we looking 65 years now? But you can see when I came here, I used to look like this. But because of our problems, I'm looking like this now. So, But I think that's what informed the assessment of the lady who said we are over 65 years old. But that was on the lighter note. We are considering that giving opportunities to the youth. That is why we have established a war room that deals with job creation. And opportunities are already there. They just need to be unlocked. The manner in which we do our business as a city, working with other public entities, we need to have collaborations. Because if you run a project somewhere and you don't put a quota for young people to benefit economically in those projects, and women and people with disability and military veterans, so you are committing a big mistake, because those projects will repeatedly get implemented but without making an impact, because those are the vulnerable sectors that needs to be afforded with opportunity. So we, through the war room, we are pushing for that. Beside that, we are also moving towards moving some of the things, rendering of services from tenders to communities. You say closing, patching potholes, cutting grass, road marking. Those things are not the things that can be the reserves for big businesses. People at a local level can do it. Empower them, give them equipment, empower them to do these things, and they'll take ownership of their areas when you do that. So we are gradually moving towards that direction. So that will also create jobs. But we are not expecting young people, especially those who are educated, to look for the jobs. We are expecting them to provide solutions through rendering services. So they must become business people to provide those solutions in the challenges we are faced with. So the procurement will give them a space, because we are not happy. In the finance committee that I'm sharing, we always raise concern that we are not seeing young people in these billions that we are distributing. So we need to inject more pressure in regard to that. But lastly, we are also going to be supporting you with your initiatives. We know when you go to banks, you don't get support. So we are going to assist you through the ESD fund. And business is supporting us in establishing that fund, because that fund is not going to be a fund of the municipality. It's going to be a fund of Triple P model that will be including all of us working together to expedite how we respond. Because people have got good initiatives in townships, in rural areas, but they can't access funding. That's a problem. And you can't be a government that will always cry with the people. When people say, hey, we have a problem, we don't have a capital injection to start our then you come there, you join them in crying. We want to provide solutions rather than joining them in crying. We are not trained to cry, we are trained to provide solutions. But Peter, you said it mouthful that you, as our big partners and clients, we don't need to make you suffer. City manager, the regional head of SAP complained that we need to fix the issue of water. We don't even notify them early when there is a challenge. They do have, yes, I'm coming to electricity. They do have a challenge. They do have a challenge. It affects their productivity levels. So we can't afford that, because they are going to retrench people based on the lower production in the plant. So we need to resolve that with speed at DCM Makanya. They can't suffer. But just communication. Tell them if we are going to be fixing something there, but with the money that you have allocated, it's part of intervening to our industrial corridors that we have in the city, and you are part of those that we are prioritizing on the southern part of our municipality, Babu Temban. So you are going to see us working there, together with issue of electricity, because it's also give some challenges. Our own transformers, they are not in good shape. So the lesser we we have operational more challenges we experience in terms of production in those industries. So there is a plan to upgrade them. We see what Toyota is doing. We went to see their plant. We are happy. We are not going to be forcing you as business not to ensure that you have your own sustainable energy. It's just that you just need to, when you come back to our grid, some surcharges that you need to put in place so that when you go out, when you come back, you don't come back free because we are losing revenue. When you leave us, there must be some tariffs when you come back to the grid. So those tariffs are going to be helping us so that even when you leave us, we know one day you'll come back. And solar panels are not going to be sustainable enough. You'll need to come back to us. So we need to work together in that. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, firstly, we welcome your submission in terms of tariffs. We are going to make a serious consideration on what you have said, but we couldn't start lower. You must understand the game of tariffs. You don't start lower, you start up so that when you cry, you don't go below the belt. So you negotiate. So it's part of putting tariffs. But if you start lower, when you cry, we need to go to the bottom. So we can't run the city if we do that, because the city requires us to have money to make the work going. It's like the issue of the markup. When ESCOM says 12 point, is it 12.9 or 12 point something? So that 12.9, you as a city, you are going to collect to cover that 12.9, but you need your markup to make your system operate so that you become responsive when there are challenges, and also pay your own employees. So we are reasonable when we say you just put 2%. We can just talk about that 2%, but you just put 2% as a markup to ensure that we continue run our own entity to deliver these services. We wish to thank you, and we wish to encourage business to continue to invest in our city. The CPD will be one of your conducive environment to invest in. I can tell you that the changes we are going to bring about in that CPD, we won't be having any fear to come back and reinvest in it. We followed you. You know the mistake that governments commit. When you go outskirts, we just left the CPD. We followed you with our infrastructure funding. We planted funding where you are. But we're supposed to take a little bit of funding and keep it back so that we don't have a situation that we are faced with. So we are correcting that through our inner city regeneration program. You can't go a long distance in a city, but you don't find ablution facilities. That is why people will be doing this thing anywhere, because there are no facilities. How do you blame them? Enough bins must be there. Taxi ranks, there must be enough bins there. You give your informal traders black bags and say, in front of your table where you are trading, we don't expect you to have papers here. You clean your own area. Then you'll have the cleaner seat. The issue, we are unfortunate that there is this lucrative tender. I must put it directly like that. There is this lucrative tender, yama meter, parking meters. That tender has been run now for 10 to 15 years. It's always get challenged because it's lucrative. It's a good tender. It's a good tender. Now, they appealed against it, then we had to bring it back to the system. So I think city manager, we need to do something. We can't keep on having such a tender. Do away with the tender, build capacity, internal capacity, and do it internal. So why we can't do it internal? I'm not here to feed people who are running businesses. They know how to run their businesses. They know they can't be fed by the mayor. So when things are not going as expected, we are not compelled to go through tenders. Just build your internal capacity, put meters there, we start billing people when they are parking. Because that on its own will enable us to clean the city. Because we give you a particular period to park. So now, even our sweepers, they can't sweep because cars are always there. There's no space for them to sweep. Then we complain that the city is dead. So really, I'm fed up about this tender that have been going left, right, and center. No, this one because it belongs to me. So if this one get it, I must contest it. We can't play that game. It's a wrong game. Because this will assist us to make this city work. So let's build capacity. Let's take electricity to become a utility. Let us not delay that. Let's move with the speed. Let us make electricity to be a utility. You run electricity in that fashion. Then water will follow, because water seems to be a shell, that when you beat it, it's going to be making a lot of noise, because we have actually removed our own capacity in that department. Everything now, you look for service provider, this and that. To eliminate what is happening there when people are being killed, our employees, let's just make it a utility. Run it professional. They come and account to us as a council like ICC is doing and Shaga Marine. They come and account, but you run the thing. Not this thing of becoming the embracing tenders each and every space. So it creates problems. As much as I want to see people getting tenders, but there are things that they are our core responsibility. Providing water is our core responsibility. So therefore, you can't just outsource it. Everything gets outsourced. We are killing our capacity. So let's bring back that capacity, but let's start with electricity as the program have already started, then we move to water after that. So with those words, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming and spending your precious time with us. You won't regret it. You are going to see more impact on the issues you have raised with us as business. We thank you. Uzovala-ke umphathi wendawo nidlule ngasekhaya. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Worship, for thanking all of us. We've now come to the end of our program. So thanks to all of you for making yourselves available and accepting, the mayor's invitation for this morning's engagement. Please give yourselves a good round of applause. Thank you. We invite all of you to hot breakfast in the room next door. As you walk out the door, you turn right, it's the next room. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. The meeting is closed.